Hello guys and welcome to another Commander training episode. This time we are covering Chemical Warriors and Scarabs. My name is Scoundrel and I'll be taking you through this entire tutorial. Now this video is brought to you by EA Game Changers and EA have sponsored this video, so let's move on. Now, the two units that we're covering, Chemical Warriors and Scarabs, are fairly complex units in their own right. Chemical Warriors especially, because they are, in some ways, very similar to a Flame Trooper in the fact that they are one of Nod's anti-infantry units. Scarabs, on the other hand, can trade up against multiple targets, however they are very weak on the attack, so they have certain strategic uses. Chemical Warriors are very beefy. They actually have a lot of health for an infantry unit, but they are really only very good against other infantry. They reveal stealth units, they do not take damage when standing on Tiberium tiles, and they leave a Tiberium cloud where they fire. When trading into something like Riflemen or other infantry, they are almost not matched. They cannot really be beaten in infantry to infantry combat, and you'll see that those Tiberium clouds that they leave behind start to damage any unit that walks across them, which is very good for controlling choke points into specific zones. However, going up against vehicle units like the Rhino, you can see that it really struggle to deal any damage, and the fact that a single Rhino can probably trade up against multiple squads of my Chemical Warriors. So what makes Chemical Warriors better than your standard Flame Trooper, for instance? If I wanted to play a Nod anti-infantry unit that was from the hand of Nod, why would I not just play a Flame Trooper? Well, it's the fact that they combo really nicely with a specific commander from Nod called Jade. I'm going to deal no damage to these predators, but the point of this entire setup is not to actually kill the predators with my Chemical Warriors. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create some Tiberium clouds in this choke point around where those predators are. I then use the missile from Jade and watch how much damage that singular explosion does. If I go back onto the point, you'll notice that every Predator tank was killed, and that is because the Jade missile will not only explode the tile at which the Chemical Cloud was placed, but it will also deal damage to every tile around that. Chemical Warriors can also be used in combination with Jade's missile directly. If the explosion happens and the Chemical Warriors are inside that explosion radius, they will also act like a tile that has had a chemical cloud placed on top of them. Chemical Warriors also have the unique passive of being able to move over Tiberium tiles without taking damage. This allows them to control points that other infantry would not usually be able to do, which can help on certain maps, also helps with pathing in certain respects as well. They can also reveal stealthed units, such as the stealth tank. Although you can see the stealth tank here, usually you cannot target it until it is fired. In the situation of the Chemical Warriors, they can see it as soon as it moves and they will reveal it from its stealth. Alright, let's have a look at Scarabs. These are another epic infantry from the hand of Nod. They have very, very low health, but very, very high DPS. So it is a trade-off between low health and high DPS, which makes them very good when holding defensive positions, but actually pretty poor when trying to attack a certain location. Scarabs also sacrifice themselves to deal this damage, meaning they are most effective when looking to trade up or control points in the early game. You'll notice the Scarabs are poised and ready to attack, so as soon as an enemy moves into a location for attack, they immediately get hit, and they leave behind this area of fire, which deals damage to units that walks onto it. Each Scarab deals insane damage and can trade up against very, very high cost units as well, so if you're using them in the right positions, you can actually decimate enemies. This is the problem with Scarabs though. If there is a defensive position held by the enemy, it is almost impossible to get into a position to attack them, especially if that unit is good against infantry units like the GDI Riflemen are. You can see here, even versus one squad of GDI Riflemen at the same level, the Scarabs find it very difficult to trade up into them. It is possible to use Scarabs to attack, especially versus units that are primarily used to deal damage to vehicles. The attack bikes in this instance are only good at dealing damage to vehicular units, and therefore the Scarabs can sustain the damage long enough to be able to set up for the attack, meaning that you make a direct trade. This can be used against many other targets as well, including much more expensive targets. For instance, the Scarabs now, they're going to go up against a stealth tank, which you can see here. The stealth tank will have the chance to fire off its entire missile barrage, and the Scarab still has a single attack left and gets the kill up against a much more expensive unit. So those are Scarabs and Chemical Warriors. I hope you enjoyed Commander training, and I'll see you on the next one.